到底是哪里出现了问题？
Where did it all go wrong? These past few days, I've been unable to sleep through the night. I've resorted to sitting down just to catch some rest. Never did I imagine that my barbecue restaurant, open for only 40 days, would succumb to closure, completely utterly closed. 5 million yuan down the drain, just like that. The products were fine, the flavors were fine. Foot traffic wasn't an issue, and the landlord was especially accommodating, even trying to minimize my losses after closure. So where did the problem arise?
没错，这就是餐饮小白开店。
Exactly, this is the journey of a restaurant rookie, experiencing the entire process of opening and failing. I lost my job, got caught up in the excitement of starting my own business to fulfill a lifelong dream. In the midst of closure sweeping the industry, it seemed easy to find a suitable location. With joy, I leased a place, hired people for renovations, design, and construction. Everything shaping up just as I dreamed. It felt so happy, fulfilling, and blissful at the time. 2 months later, the business opened, filled with hopes for a bright future. Initially, there were customers, friends lending their support, even repeat business. But a month later, there was a sudden cliff-like drop in customers. I thought maybe the products weren't good enough, so I updated them, and even started online delivery services like Meituan, Douyin, and others. I studied marketing and promotion techniques, yet the performance remained poor. Every day I stood in the store, looking at the meticulously decorated storefront, the carefully selected products, feeling anxious and lost.
今年真的顶不住了。
This year has been really tough. The economy is in such a slump. I've made the decision to close down my bubble tea shop. Finally, on April 11th, the bubble tea shop bid farewell. Now take a look. I've packed everything up, ready to take it all back home. Maybe someday, when the opportunity arises, I'll open a store again.
今年广州餐饮店的一个真实现状。
Let me show you the real situation of restaurants in Guangzhou this year. It's noon on April 12th, here in a small commercial area in the Liwan district of Guangzhou. You can see that many restaurants have closed their doors. The few that remain open are struggling. Despite the nearby office and residential areas, there are very few people coming out to consume. Historically, Guangzhou has had a sizable consumer base, but this year you can clearly feel the downturn. On March 25th, an individual posted a video claiming that a large number of restaurants in Majia Lane, Mianyang, Sichuan province had shut down. Majia Lane, renowned for its culinary delights, has been a prominent attraction in Mianyang for over a decade, drawing in numerous tourists. It's disheartening to see such a downturn in the once thriving area. In Zhongshan City, Guangdong province, Daxing Food Street has seen almost the entire stretch of businesses closed down, with only 3 remaining open. According to the National Bureau of Statistics of China, in the first quarter of this year, a staggering 460,000 catering enterprises in China were deregistered or had their operations suspended. Among these, 170,000 closures were in January, 110,000 in February, and 180,000 in March, marking a 232.6% increase compared to last year. In 2023, about 1.4 million catering-related companies nationwide were deregistered or suspended, reaching a new high since 2020. Chinese media reports indicate that in this wave of closures, bubble tea shops have been hit the hardest. An increasing number of new tea drink brands are facing the dilemma of closure. At the same time, many chain enterprises are also struggling to stay afloat. In the first quarter, many well-known and long-standing leading catering enterprises have also closed their doors. 2 leading brands in the new Chinese-style baking industry, Tiger Attitude Chartered Pastry Bank and Momo Dim Sums, were struggling for nearly 2 years. Tiger Attitude applied for bankruptcy liquidation at the beginning of this year. Momo Dim Sums deregistered its company. Additionally, popular brands like Shabu Shabu and Naishui have seen a large-scale closure of their sub-brands. Among them, Xiao Hot under the Xiaobu Group made a spectacular debut in its first public performance. It boasted of monthly average revenue exceeding 2.5 million yuan and an annual single-store revenue expected to exceed 30 million yuan. But there have been rapid changes in the barbecue market and a shift in mentality among young people towards more cost-effective options. Xiao Hot evidently couldn't compete with smaller, more affordable barbecue establishments, leading to closures and a tightening of operations in multiple locations. On April 4th, Beijing was rocked by the sudden closure of two highly acclaimed Michelin-starred restaurants, Opera Bambana, sending shockwaves through the culinary world. Opera, once hailed as a celebrity restaurant, had hosted numerous stars including Gao Yuanyuan, Mark Chow, and Cui Hark during its years of operation. During its heyday, Opera Bambana could rake in over 3 million yuan in monthly revenue, with some nights bringing in as much as 300,000 yuan. In 2019 and 2020, it was often fully booked, with patrons struggling to secure a table. Insiders revealed that business at Opera Bambana wasn't particularly poor leading up to its closure, but burdened by high costs of ingredients and labor. Opera had been operating at a loss for quite some time. Following the closure, dozens of suppliers began the process of debt collection. After discussions and calculations among the suppliers, it was reported that Opera Bambana's outstanding debts amounted to about 4 million yuan. Industry insiders are warning that in 2024, China's restaurant industry will face further massive wave of closures, with an even graver issue of establishments struggling to find new owners. The impact is particularly profound for dealers who specialize in second-hand restaurant equipment. These equipment recyclers serve as indicators for the health of the catering business. Recently, a second-hand kitchen equipment dealer posted a video on Douyin expressing his sentiments. We can't keep up. It's just overwhelming. There's no space left in this huge market to store everything. These excellent stoves, these high-quality stainless steel racks are being treated almost as scrap metal for buy-in. Since the new year, on average, we've been acquiring 4 to 5 restaurants per day. This year's restaurant market is incredibly abnormal. Compared to last year, there are significantly more closures in the restaurant industry this year. We allocated 2 million yuan for purchases, and in just under a month, there's hardly anything left. There were many new restaurants opening around this time last year, and we've sold out of all the second-hand goods. But this year, while acquiring is easy, selling is difficult. Not only are we having trouble selling, but many manufacturers are also facing mountains of new inventory. It's only March, and many small kitchen equipment manufacturers have halted production. With the widespread closures in the restaurant industry in March, both old and new products are difficult to sell. There's a severe overcapacity in the kitchen equipment market nationwide. Can you imagine the millions worth of goods I've acquired this year sitting idle? Even though the pandemic is behind us, the competition in the restaurant industry has become even more brutal. From century-old renowned establishments to small individual shops, all have felt the impact. Some restaurant owners express their frustration, saying, "There's nobody, truly nobody. Where have all the customers gone? Last year was worse than the year before, and this year is worse than last year. By the end of March, we hit historic lows, with a plummeting bottom line and virtually no revenue." Regarding the wave of restaurant closures, Mr. Hong, who runs a private kitchen in Wuhan, spoke to an overseas media. He said that one of the main reasons is that revenue cannot offset rent and labor costs. High rental costs, high labor costs, rising prices, and reduced consumer spending. It's hard to imagine how one can survive under these circumstances. While there are very few restaurants doing exceptionally well, large-scale restaurants are struggling. But smaller eateries with lower costs and high turnover are managing to stay afloat. Some establishments around him haven't even recouped their renovation costs, let alone turned a profit. Many restaurant owners strongly feel the effects of what they call internal competition. This includes various aspects such as declining consumer purchasing power, decreasing revenue generating ability, and intensifying competition. For those restaurant owners still struggling, they console themselves with the saying, "Even immortals feel sad in March and April." March is traditionally a slow season for the restaurant industry, with the phenomenon of post-holiday syndrome being quite normal. But this year, the downturn is unprecedented. Whereas sales usually decrease by around 30%, this year they've been slashed more than half. Some establishments are resorting to price wars, yet even offering discounts of up to 50% on set meals fails to attract customers. A barbecue restaurant owner in Jilin said, "From October last year until now, it's been the toughest month in all my years of running this business. Compared to previous years, sales have dropped by more than half. We're barely getting by, relying solely on returning customers. With just 5 tables indoors and 5 outdoors, were averaging around 1,500 yuan daily. As incomes shrink, young people in China are becoming increasingly frugal with their spending. In response to the onslaught of ultimate value for money in the restaurant industry, many establishments are now opting for low-price, high-quality options to find new opportunities, offering what's becoming known as broke person set meals, favored by young people. On platforms like Xiaohongshu, guides covering content such as all-you-can-eat for 3 yuan, KFC set meals for 1990 yuan, and 10 yuan noodle sets have surged in popularity. From receiving more than 2,300 likes daily in the second half of 2023 to a staggering 5,800 likes per day in mid-March 2024, this explosive increase reflects the widespread consumer mentality of tightening belts. A typical broke person set meal plan might include all-you-can-eat buffet for 3 yuan in the morning, a 1990 yuan KFC set meal for lunch, a 990 yuan coffee for an afternoon hit, 10 yuan convenience store noodles for dinner, and heading to the supermarket after 8:30 p.m. to grab discounted food. The trend of broke person set meals has quickly spread from Western fast food to Chinese cuisine, breakfast, and convenience stores. Among them, a Beijing fast food brand called Nancheng Sheng, dubbed a must for broke Beijingers, even introduced a 3 yuan all-you-can-eat breakfast. According to Professional Catering Network, after launching this broke person set meal, the brand store saw a surge in revenue from an initial daily turnover of 4,000 yuan during breakfast hours to over 10,000 yuan. Recently, IKEA in China launched its Crazy Friday promotion, announcing that from March 15th through April 30th, most meals at IKEA restaurants would be half price on Fridays. For example, 10 meatballs were slashed to 999 yuan, joining the ranks of the broke person set meal battlefield. Another beverage brand, Luckin Coffee, saw a significant increase in sales after introducing its 990 yuan coffee vouchers, with the number of cups sold per store rising from 700 to 1,300. Among the myriad mid-range dining brands, Xinrongji, a chain Chinese restaurant brand, headquartered in Taizhou City, Zhejiang Province, has an average expenditure of 1,000 yuan per person. It has recently attracted more attention with its 398 yuan broke person set meal. This set was actually introduced at the end of last year as a weekday lunch set for one person, featuring several signature dishes such as a small pomfret and chestnut ribs. The pricing of the 398 yuan per person for the set menu was controversially dubbed as a broke person set meal, but some people believe that while the price may be high, it offers high-quality products and attentive service, providing customers with a fulfilling emotional experience. They argue that spending a little more money to eat at a good restaurant is true happiness. The upheaval and reshuffling in China's restaurant industry reflects the complexity of changing consumer demands. According to a survey by RET, the most significant consumer downgrading over the past 3 years has occurred among the 25 to 35 age group, with the luxury goods and leisure entertainment sectors experiencing the largest declines. American economist David Huang analyzes that the food service industry is particularly sensitive to economic downturns. The food service industry is considered a sector for improving and enhancing life rather than a necessity. When people struggle to even meet basic needs, they are less inclined to spend on these additional or high-end luxuries. Sung Kuo Shang, associate professor at Nanhua University in Taiwan, also believes that the food service industry is a crucial part of Chinese consumption, but consumers seem to be tightening their belts and overall, consumer confidence is continuing to collapse. Behind the wave of restaurant closures lies the issue of unemployment and low-price competition. The unemployment rate has been rising since the pandemic, and many young and middle-aged people are in desperate need of finding a job to support their families. With the ride-hailing and food delivery sectors already saturated, many young people who can't find a job are turning to the restaurant industry. Opening a restaurant has become a gathering place for the unemployed. In the eyes of many, the threshold for starting a restaurant business seems relatively low, and the market space appears vast. It's as if opening a restaurant is an easy path to realizing wealth. But against the backdrop of China's continuing economic decline, people's incomes are plummeting, bringing more and more setbacks and disappointments to those in the restaurant industry. The founder of Yang's Dumpling, Yang Liping, mentioned in the 2024 restaurant calendar that the restaurant industry is a field full of challenges and opportunities. The lowest entry threshold and intense market competition, endless brand elimination battles, and increasingly severe market pressures keep every restaurant owner under the constant pressure. Therefore, besides exerting extraordinary efforts, one must also maintain a cautious and alert attitude, as if walking on thin ice. Without such determination or psychological readiness, restaurant entrepreneurs are easily defeated by reality in the early stages of their ventures. Many people only see the surface glamour of restaurant owners, but overlook the hardships behind them. However, the effort put in often does not proportionally match the rewards. More and more restaurant owners are expressing desperate calls to close early and cut losses. Many failed restaurant entrepreneurs sigh, "Entrepreneurship means donating all your assets and personal credit. This is an irrefutable fact."